Next we have David and Jacque, and David's coming up.
Hello.
Okay. So on the screen there, yep. Okay. So tell us a little bit about you, and first of all, let's acknowledge Jacque, who does not want to come up and stand next to me.
Wave.
Beautiful wife, Jacque. So I also work in oil and gas,
close.
and I am also an Aggie. So start off with that.
Put it right up near the chin.
Right there. Is that better? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you do and.
All right. So I work as a microbiologist in oil and gas. I also do a lot of green chemistry, so new types of biomolecules and enzymes and stuff that I'm introducing to oil and gas. And Jacque is a reimbursement counselor for the pharmaceutical industry, so we're doing pretty good there. Okay. And in November, we got married, and these are our children, and we have 7 children between us and a new one on the way.
Oh.
Okay. Well, congratulations over and over and over again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been good.
Okay, so tell us how you found Lifestyles and why did you decide to join?
I found Lifestyles by listening to the radio. I heard Dale on the radio and Al Gordon on the radio as well. And I was going to lunch every day and hearing him talk, and it started to make sense to me. And I had heard about Lifestyles years ago and looked into it, but I wasn't at a place where I could have invested at that point in time in my life. So I heard about him again and decided to give him a try. So I started looking at the background of it. You know, is Lifestyles a scam, that kind of thing, and everything checked out to me. So I came to the 2-day or the free seminar, and I had already made up my mind that I was going to join. So.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about some of the motivations. What you're in a position that you decided you need to do something different.
Right. So when I first joined the oil and gas industry, I came up with a product for my company, and that product ended up making a lot of money, and it had the highest margining product of anything in company history. And it made somebody a lot of money, but it didn't make me any. And
They didn't give you a cut?
I didn't get a cut. I didn't even get a pat on the back for about 2 years. I finally got an excellence award for it, but it was about 2 years later, and the CEO didn't have any idea who I was or what I had done. So every point since then, every day I get up and I go to work, and I'm like, oh, goodness, I'm making money for somebody else.
So that picture of the birds resonated with you?
Yes.
You're in the bottom rung there?
Yeah, absolutely. And so just the more I learn about Lifestyles and that I can truly make money on my own and quit the corporate race, it just makes going to work every day harder and harder.
Okay.
Lifestyles has destroyed so many careers.
It's destroyed mine.
All of a sudden you're like, why am I doing this
Absolutely.
job?
I used to like what I do. I don't anymore.
All right, so this is a house in New Caney, which is another suburb of Houston. How far is this from Houston and from where you live?
This, taken in 99, it's about an hour away from where I live. It's about a half an hour away from where I work. So I found this one through an email blast. Moon Kim sent it to me. And with this one, this was my first house, and I decided I'm going to take the plunge and I'm going to do it, and talk to Moon about it. And then I called Moon back and I said, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. And he said, what are you doing? This is the perfect house. So he talked me into it, and I stayed. And
So you're also a type B.
yes, yes, very much so.
I'm a recovering type B myself. So.
I forgot to ask you, when did you join Lifestyles?
2019.
Okay.
It was I did the 2-day class in November of 2019, and I bought this house in December.
2019.
2019.
Okay. And normally we talk about houses that were recently purchased. So this house he bought in 2019, and we're talking about it for a reason, which I'll get to in a little bit. But this is the before and after of the interior of the house. So this looks like a flood house. Was this a Harvey flood house?
This was a flood house. It was a Harvey flood house.
Hurricane
I
Harvey.
thought you were just going for an open concept.
Yeah. Well, the folks have been living in it like this for quite a while. So
They were living in it like
yes,
this?
yeah. And so there's actually a picture coming up where you can see
much
a lot of their
privacy
stuff
there,
in
is
it.
there?
Yeah. So I bought this house, and I actually did a case study a couple of years ago. The house down the street was also a flood property.
Yeah. Okay, so someone was living in this before house like this.
Right.
Wow.
This is not the worst I've seen.
Not the worst I've seen. It was the worst I've seen with someone living in it. But
Yeah.
Wow. And so Hurricane Harvey hit, you bought this in December of 19. Hurricane Harvey was, I think, August of 2017. So these people have been living in this house for over 2 years with half the walls and
Right.
collecting memorabilia, looks like.
Right.
That's the nice
I don't like to use the word hoarders, yeah, collecting memorabilia. And so they had virtually no kitchen.
Yeah, they didn't have much of a kitchen. Of course, this picture is a lot of where they had torn out because
Right.
the cabinets they weren't worth
Right.
saving. It was everything was just down to studs.
Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. This is more when you bought the property. So it was worth $140,000. Had it been in great condition, it wasn't. So you bought it for $84,000, put $36,000 into it. Your out of pocket was $24,000. You were able to get it rented for $14.75 a month. You had $300 cash flow, which is a 14% cash on cash return, and you picked up $22,000. So again, about a 90% return on equity. So similar.
Get that? He almost doubled his money
Yeah.
buying this house.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. You do that in the stock market?
No, I tried.
Now this was, was that? But wait, there's more. So you bought that property, and these are 4 single-family homes you had. And I say before and after because there were some events that's happened here recently with David and Jackie. So you actually had you mentioned the 2 houses on the same street, and so you bought both of those houses, and these are the cash flow numbers you had, plus 2 other houses you bought. So. Did you buy both of the Southwood houses in 2019?
I did.
Okay, and when did you buy
Well, the other one I bought just a couple months later.
Okay,
so
early 2020. And when did you buy the next 2?
Meadowbrook I bought in June of 2020, and Tyrone I bought in June of 2021.
Okay, so in about a year and a half, you picked up 4 houses and $13,000 of cash flow and $111,000 in equity. So great job on doing that. And then here recently, you have now changed your portfolio some. And so you sold the house that we just saw, and you did that in a...
I did that in a 1031 exchange.
Tell us a little bit about that.
And so with the 1031 exchange, you sell it and you don't pay taxes on it. Instead, you could use those taxes to buy other property. So those taxes are deferred until later. And
Greg, you don't use the taxes to buy other properties. Greg's going to go into the detail this weekend, but you're deferring the taxes down the road as long as you keep the money working in real estate.
We'll go into that this weekend.
Yeah.
And so I ended up buying 2 properties from that one house, and they're currently being rehabbed. One's in Texas City and one's in Houston.
Okay. And then you sold another property.
I sold the Meadowbrook property, and then I sold the Tyrone property, and I put both of those into multifamily investments.
Okay. All right. So you took those properties, that's 3 properties you originally bought, and you turned those into 3 more or 4 more single families.
2 more.
2 more single families, and then passive investment also.
Right.
So, so you started with that money, and so how much? What is the turn on that money? So what do you have now invested in those new properties and the passive investment?
So from the 1031 exchange, I have all of the money that I got out of that first property. So it was about $65,000. Of course, I didn't pay anything up front on either one of them because the 1031 took care of that. And then I have from these deals plus some other money that I added to it. 8 multifamily deals.
8 passive investments. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give him a hand. That's great. One of the things I love about your story is a lot of people, when they can't really envision this when they first get into real estate investing, but it has a snowball effect. You buy one, and after a little while, you sell it, and you buy 2. And then after a little while, you sell those and you buy 4. But you can kind of hear that in his story, right? It's not that clean. He bought 1, sold 1, bought 2, bought 3, sold 2, bought 4. Now he's in 8 multifamily deals. You see how this thing starts snowballing? It doesn't take that long if you're doing this to become multimillionaire because the money's churning and growing and growing and growing at exponential rates that are pretty high.
I'm still waiting,
90%.
but I trust you.
Sorry?
I'm still waiting, but I trust you.
Oh, yeah. Like a year from now, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I got there.
Okay. So tell us how lifestyles is changing your life now.
Well, and like we said, it destroyed my career. I've got, I look forward to the possibility of not going to work every day because I have to, but because I want to.
It's really kind of weird when you get to that point that you're like hoping they lay you off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it'll change. I think it'll be a lot more fun because I don't have to do it. It'll be something I like to do.
It takes a weight off you. And you got 7 kids total?
8 kids.
8 kids?
now, yeah.
8 too?
Yeah, and so I
That's a
would.
weight.
I'd eventually like Jackie to be able to stay home as well, so and not have to go unless she wants to.
Sounds great. All right, so tell us your short-term goals.
So I'm still doing these 2 that are currently in rehab, and when they're done, I'd like to get another single-family deal this year. I'm going to wait a little bit and see how these passive deals in multifamily do. I want to see the returns on those before I start, adding any more money to those. So I'm being a type B there. But right now, the single-family market looks really good, and I'm planning to keep investing there.
Okay.
Had a lot of success doing that.
Okay, I think you've kind of covered. Oh, no, you haven't. Tell us about the. I see that last line on there for the long-term goals too. So.
Yeah, eventually I would like to move into an IRO and perhaps become a lead investor at some point in time.
Yeah, an IRO stands for independent rental owner. That's where you buy an apartment complex with yourself. Yourself or maybe a couple people, that's it.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your team. You and I have worked together a lot.
Right, so Sorrel was my mentor. My GC was Corbett, Total Property Care. It was Mondale Corbett. He did a really good job on that. The hard money lender was Priority Investors. The conventional lender was Imperial Mortgage. And then JR took care of my inspections. And Boost did the foundation work. So there was some foundation work on that first house. And then CNC Insurance, I believe they're Texas Republic now, took care of the insurance needs for the flood and the regular landlord insurance as well as the builder's risk insurance. And then the Exchange Resource Group took care of my 1031 when I sold it.
Okay. Any questions for David? There's a microphone coming to you. Hold on one second.
Thank you. I see that you dealt with like 2 rehab at the same time. Do you recommend that or no?
I've got a really good team that's taking care of it, so I just get out there and see what they've done. So far, it hasn't been a problem.
Because you haven't had to be at both properties
I
at the
haven't
same
had
time,
to be
right?
at both properties,
Greg,
no, yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was, he did two rehabs at the same time, and was that recommended? And since David wasn't actually there swinging the hammer, he had a team. It didn't matter to him as long as the team could handle it, and they did.
I was a bit afraid of doing it at first, but the issue with doing a 1031 exchange is you have 45 days to find new properties for that money. And so that's why I ended up with 2.
Okay. And here's a question up here.
If you want to shout it out, we'll
Yeah,
repeat
yell
it.
it out.
So, Sorrel, I heard you mention usually you're trying to buy under $400,000, and I haven't seen any investment properties. It sounds like from you or the prior speaker within Inner Loop, Houston. And from my wife's experience, looking to buy a house a few years ago,
Okay.
it's like hard to find.
Hold on. Can you start over because that's going to be a lot to repeat.
We get
I'll
summarized.
try to simplify. The inner loop of Houston, it seems like you can't even get a lot lower than $400,000. So how have you found these properties? And what were you saying when you say it's a good market right now for single family?
Okay. First of all, tell us how you found, because you were in Texas City, New Caney, and where was the third one?
Hempstead.
Hempstead. So, are you from Houston?
Yeah.
Okay. So, greater Houston area, north, south. So, New Caney, Texas City, Hempstead, each of them over an hour from central Houston. So, tell us about that, why you chose those properties.
So all of my properties I got off the email blasts and with Lifestyles Realty. And I chose them because the numbers worked, and they looked like good properties to me. And there was a couple of them that I was not the first in line, and there were other people out there looking at them, and then they decided they didn't want them, so I came up.
Greg's going
We don't buy rent properties in San Francisco, right? Doesn't make sense. So if there's parts of Houston where it doesn't make sense, we don't buy them there.
Greg's going to teach you about what we look for in properties. What's a good property for a real estate investor in Houston particularly, but we do the same thing around the country. And You know, you want to buy a property that cash flows, has equity in it, means you're buying it for undervalue because of the rehab that's needed. And you're not going to find that in Houston. Now, again, we're talking around the country, but in Houston, $400,000 properties do not rent well. People are buying $400,000 properties. We're buying properties that fit the middle class, blue collar market where the renters are. You know, something like 45 to 50% of people in Houston are renters. And they're, you know, with the average income in the city of Houston, and this is our rental market, this is what they can afford to rent. That's what we buy.
The
And that's
beautiful
where-
thing is there's always a renter for that kind of property. And when you go to sell it, there's always a buyer for that kind of property.
Yep.
That's what you want.
Hey, Brian. I got lots of past case study presenters in the audience today. I saw there's Brian and who else did I see back there? But anyway, go ahead, Brian.
My question is, since you decided to do the 1031 exchange, did that put pressure on you to take a deal as fast as possible because you knew you only had that 45-day window, or did you pass on deals and think, oh, I can wait till 15 days, 10 days, 5 days from when my deadline is? Or what kind of pressure did that put on you to buy quickly or not quickly or?
Right. Well, I thought there was a lot of pressure in that, and part of the reason is because I went on the road trip, and I found 2 properties on the road trip that I liked, and I actually got a blast for a 3rd property that I liked, and so I was going to try to get all 3, and then all 3 of them fell through, and I had a week and a half left to go. And so it just happened that there was 2 email blasts, and I talked to the realtors, and I said, hey, I've got this 1031, and I've only got a week and a half left to go. Do you have anything? And no, we don't right now, but we'll let you know. So they came through for me and gave me some properties.
And one of the even better things about the Lifestyles Realty team is you let them know you have a 1031. They fully understand the timeline, and they will go to work for you to find properties that meet your criteria. It has to meet your criteria. It's not just here's a property to buy a property. It's a property that meets your criteria and you can get it done in the timeline. And this was, Moon was your realtor, but I know Jennifer does this all the time. Alex does this. Let the realty team know you're on a 1031 and they automatically know. They will ask you what your drop dead date is. And they will go to, and what's your criteria? What are you looking for? And they will find properties that meet your criteria to help you satisfy the 1031.
Is there a penalty for that if you don't buy the house within that 45 days? Is there?
Well, you identify properties in 45 days. You have 180 days to close them. And so you just have to identify them. You don't have to close them.
The penalty is capital gains.
Yeah.
Right? But there's other ways to offset capital gains that we talk about in the 2 days. So.
Okay, David, you have anything online?
Yeah, I do. What was the insurance premium for the flooded property? Or can you give an idea of the difference?
Gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I mean, the numbers worked. I think it was $700 something for that first property.
Was it? That's pretty good.
Yeah, and that one was escrowed. It required to be escrowed. It was $765. That's what it was. $765.
Numbers guy, remembered it.
It was flood or
That was the flood. Yeah.
So I remember when we insure rent properties, what are we not insuring? I'm not insuring the couch. I'm not insuring the television. I'm not insuring all the stuff that the renters bring. That's their job to pay renters insurance.
one of the things you learn is how to analyze the property, and there's spreadsheets. There's a software tool called Quest. You put all the numbers in there, and property taxes are high in the greater Houston area, in Texas, and insurance is high in the coastal counties and things like that. But I mean, you put those numbers in, and you can have flood insurance. You can have, I've heard flood insurance twice that, and the numbers still work. If the numbers don't work, don't buy that property. Go to another property.
Yep.
Okay, one last question? Nope. Okay. Thank you, David.
Good job, David.